Hey everybody, this is Brian here with the End Times. Hope you're having a great morning. It's early morning here in Southern California and another day closer to the Lord's return. And man, I usually have a lot to say. But I feel like I have to do a video. So I guess what's popping on my mind this morning for all of us that know the Lord in our heart is that a lot of economic uncertainty is going around in the world right now, in our own country and around the world. They're trying to change this to a digital system. I've talked about that in my previous videos, about a digital system, even in the U.S. by summer, late summer, early fall. That the House and the Senate are actually working on that. There's congressmen and senators that are pushing to have a digital currency and get rid of cash by the end of this year. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but they're going that way. And what's that indicate? Well, it indicates in Revelation, I think it's 13, that we can't buy or sell without the mark of the beast. And how would you do that? Well, with technology. They can microchip you now. That's been around for a long time, actually. So we're not going to be here for the tribulation. We're going to be gone in a pre-tribulation rapture. Praise the Lord. But that system is in place and ready to go. And they're fine-tuning it. And now they're ready to bring in a digital currency. And China already has a digital social score, not just credit score, but a social score. They've had that for a long time. And now the US and Europe is talking about having a social credit score. What is a social credit score? Well, you know what a financial score is. You pay your bills on time, your score goes up. You pay your bills late, your score goes down. Simple as that, really. Social score is like this video I'm doing. If the government of China or America or whatever country you live in doesn't approve of a video that you do, of giving your opinions on this video, and it says things they don't like, your social score comes down. It's say you go to church on Sunday, your social score might come down. Let's say you vote for the wrong party, your score will come down. And so what's the big deal about that? Well, the big deal is they in China, and it's going to happen here, is that's as important as your credit score for money. So they'll look at your credit score. You might be a 750 or 800, 850 or whatever it is. It might be off the chart and just awesome. But you go to church, you're a right-wing extremist because you believe in God, and you go to church and you don't believe in certain things like abortion, and you're against that. Well, now your social score is a 500 or 480. So you go to apply to get, apartment or buy a house or buy a car, and they look at your financial. Wow, you guys are great. We got to check your social score. And you go, what's that? So they check and they come back. Sorry, Brian, you're not able to buy this car today. Sorry. You can't buy the car. And you go, why? Well, your social score. And you go, what's a social score? And they tell you, and you're like, what? When did this happen? Well, it happened a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, yesterday. It doesn't matter. And I'm not making this up. This is actually reality. This is what China does. Now Europe's doing it. The Biden administration is wanting to bring this in. They're bringing it in behind the back doors, they say. It will come here to America. It will. And if we don't get raptured in the near future, we're going to have to deal with this. So to keep us from, it'll limit us from buying or selling. Or what else that China does is that they determine by your scores where you're going to live and what schools you're going to go to. So let's say you live in an affluent neighborhood in Southern California somewhere. You make millions of dollars a year, but your social score, your credit score is off the chart, but your social score is like not so good. Well, they can force you out of your house, kick you out of your house, take your house from you. I don't care how many millions and billions of dollars you have. They can do this and put you in a neighborhood more appropriate for your score that you may not approve of. I'm not making this stuff up. This is real. This is real. It's called, in the old days, you used to call it dictatorship. Now they call it, a social credit score, a social, I don't know, one world government, kumbaya. It's all get along. It's all get along except with the Christians and with them. it's all be tolerant of everybody but the Christians and the Jews, obviously. So I'm bringing this up. I wasn't actually going to bring this up. I asked God to show me what he wanted me to talk about. I guess this is it. So why am I saying this? Because it says in the scriptures it says to be sober-minded. I think it's in Peter or Timothy. It says to be sober-minded, knowing that the days are evil, and also knowing what is the will of God for your life. Okay, are we living in evil times? Yeah, I'd say so. Okay, not everybody's evil. Thank goodness there's really good believers, and there's good people out there that don't know the Lord, just good people. So no, it's not total chaos yet, but we are in the very end of the end of the end of times. Okay, we've been technically in the end of time since the resurrection, since Yeshua resurrected, or since he was born, really. And so it's been a couple thousand years. We're about to end the sixth day of humanity. In the Psalm, I think it's Psalms, says a day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is a day to the Lord. And far as we can tell, we're finishing 6,000 years of humanity's rule that God allowed him to rule on this planet. Started in Genesis. The seventh day is about to start. We are at the very end of that 6,000 years, the very last year of it, actually. And we're about to start the 7,000th year, the 7th millennium. And as you know, the number 7 in the Bible is a number of rest. God created heavens and earth in 6 days. On the 7th day, he rested. He commanded Israel to work 6 days and rest on the 7th day. It was a command. So the number 7, and numbers mean stuff in the Bible, okay? There's meanings. The numbers aren't just random in the Bible. It's a code. It's like a law of physics. It's how God operates. He's a God of numbers. He's a mathematician to the 100th millionth time. So numbers mean something to him. And the number 7 is rest. So is it a coincidence that we're ending the 6,000th year of man with all the stuff that's going on in the world right now, about to start the 7,000th year? And what starts that 7,000th year is the tribulation. All hell breaks loose right at the end of the 6,000th year, before it starts the 7th, excuse me. And then 7 years is done. God comes back at the second coming in Revelation 19 and fixes and remodels the earth from destruction. We're with him on white horses, Revelation 19. And we start the 7,000th year of rest. That's about to happen. Now, let's go back to the social credit score. Why did I go through that rabbit hole? Because I want to remind all of us, we're just passing through here. This isn't our home. And they can kick you out of your home. They can move you out of your job. They can cancel you. They can ruin your credit score and cause you to have a social score. Maybe it's not so good as your social score because you'd rather worship God than worship man, which is the right thing to do. And keep you from buying homes and buying food. Can that happen? That could happen. It's already happened to believers in China. Why am I saying all this? I'm saying because we have a home not built by man. Jesus said, I go away to prepare a place for you. If it were not so, I would tell you. I wouldn't lie to you. I'm telling you the truth. That's what he's saying, paraphrasing. Hey, guys, this is what I'm telling you the truth. I go away to prepare a place for you. If it were not so, I would tell you. In my Father's house is many dwelling places. Even though I'm leaving, I will come back. This is what the Lord said. And I'll come and get you and take you back to my Father's place. I talked about the Jewish wedding a long time ago. Oh, a long time, probably a couple months ago. Seems like a long time. And the Jewish wedding, the bride would come and court the bride. A bridegroom would come and court the bride for a certain amount of time. Then he'd leave. Before he'd leave something with her, a dowry, a gift, to remind her he's coming back to get her. He'd go back to the father's house and build an addition to the father's house. And when it was done, the father would say, "Go get your bride." The father would say, "Yes, okay, go get your bride." And so the bridegroom would come to get the bride, and from a distance, we don't know the distance, he would blow the shofar, a trumpet, and awaken an alert that the bridegroom is there. So the bride would get herself ready and go out to meet him. And he would take her back to the father's house. They'd get married, have this huge wedding feast that would last 7 days. 7 days. You can't see it, but I got goosebumps under the shirt. How long is the tribulation? 7 years. We're taken away before the tribulation. We're not going to go through it. And back to her father's house. And they get married, and he'd bring her back at the end of the 7 days and present her to her relatives. The second coming. I'm saying this because the Lord has had 2,000 years to build us homes in heaven. Are there real homes in heaven? Yes, there is. I've read many accounts of believers, real believers, who have died, gone to heaven, and come back. There's a movie out about a young child. I can't remember the name. Is heaven real? I think that's the name of it. Heaven is another dimension. We're in a dimension. We live in a dimension. There's, I think Thomas Edison believed there was, I think, 8 to 11 dimensions, maybe up to 17. I know there's two. There's the one we're living in, and then there's the heavenly one. And so we're going to be another dimension. Because you're in another dimension doesn't mean it's real, doesn't mean it's not physical. It's totally physical. So it says in Revelation 21 and 22, there's a city that comes out of heaven, the New Jerusalem, and it physically describes it. It's physical. So do we have homes in heaven? Yes, we do. I always wanted to think, and I think this is true to a degree, whatever you wanted on earth, maybe you never got. Maybe you never got the finances to build the dream home you've always wanted. Maybe you like to live by the coast with the ocean, or you like to live in the mountains up against a lake. Whatever it is, or a farm, or maybe a condo, a really nice condo. Some people don't want to do that. They want to live in condos or apartments. A nice condo, a beautiful condo somewhere. Whatever was in your heart on the earth, that's probably going to be your home in heaven. Why do you think it was put in your heart on earth? Some things that are put in us are good. Some are bad, but some are good. So whatever your desire was on earth for you to live and where you want to live, that's probably where you're going to live in heaven. I have a book here. I don't have time to read it right now. And it's, and I'll read it again. I'll do a little update on this later. It's a true story, and it's called My Time in Heaven. And it's by Richard Sigmund, Sigmund. He was an evangelist, and about 40 so many years ago, he was driving to go to a church, and he got killed on a highway. And I'll go more into detail what happened and how he got killed, but he was dead for 8 hours. And Rex Humbard and different people of that era in the 60s, 70s were friends with this guy. And far as I can tell, I've read this book so many times it's wearing out. And it's the most detailed description I've ever read from anyone, even today, about heaven. He was in heaven for 8 hours. He was taken around heaven by 2 angels. One was his guardian angel, and one was just another angel that was accompanying him. He saw the throne. He saw parks, lakes, small towns, large cities, oceans, forests, grass, flowers. he saw libraries, amphitheaters, parks with trees that were a mile across and a mile high, with thousands of believers under these trees in these parks worshiping the Lord. When he was first taken up into heaven, there was a door, a gate, this long wall that went around to infinity, and every few yards was a gate. And he saw people, including himself, walk through this gate. And he walked through this gate, and it was a receiving area for people who have passed away on earth that were coming to heaven. And on the other side of this gate were all his family members, whoever they were, that passed away. Angels were also greeting them. People who didn't know him, but see, you have the mind of Christ in heaven. You know everybody. But his relatives were there, family members, friends, and, people who didn't even know him on the earth were there to greet him. And every so many yards are these gates, beautiful gates you come through, or doors open, and you come into the city of God. You come into heaven. And then at that point, and he cried when he saw his family members. He cried, and he was with joy, and he hugged them, and he said that everybody looks young. Everybody is the round of age of the Lord when the Lord was resurrected, which is 33 years old. You may have white hair in heaven, but your face, your countenance, looks like you're 33, 32, 30 years old. I really am hesitant to tell this on video because a lot of people think, oh man, this guy, nobody's been to heaven. Nothing's coming to the man's mind to describe heaven. That's not true. It came into John's mind on the island of Patmos. He described it. He went there. I can't remember if it was Elijah or Elisha, don't quote me, one of the prophets was taken up to heaven, either in a dream or physically, we don't know, and swam in the river of heaven and got out, and it was dry. And so when he got out, so there's heaven's all over the Bible. So I'm saying this, folks, because we're living in dark times. This isn't your home. This isn't your home. He goes, even the grass in heaven gives life. When you step on the grass in heaven, he said, I think this might have been somebody else I read, but it crushed the grass, and as soon as you pick your foot up, it's right back to where it was, and it grew. You can pick a rose in heaven and look at it and drop it on the ground, and it regrows instantly right back where it was. There's no death in heaven. There's no dead wood in the forest, no mold, no dark, gloomy days. This is where we're going very, 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 very soon. I just keep saying it over and over. A minnow bird, we're going to heaven soon. We don't have decades left on this earth. We don't have 10 years left. Why? And I've said this 100 times. I'll say it again. It's put the rapture off the table. Just put it off the table. You know why? Because man's about to blow himself up. That's why. I just read they're going to put nuclear detection devices in Ukraine to detect if a nuclear blast goes off, and they'll be able to tell who did it. I just read that in the news just now. I just don't have the articles in front of me today. This is kind of a impromptu video. So, man's going to blow himself up pretty soon. And there's natural disasters coming to this earth in the next few months that we never thought would happen. It's all birth pains, and it's birth pains to tell us there's a baby coming. And for you women out there that have birth, you know how painful that is. It's painful. I've seen my kids born, and it's painful. But when the baby's there, it's like, wow, look at this. This thing is beautiful. The birth pains are getting closer and closer together. We're about to fly. We're about to fly. So whatever you're going through today, I'm not telling you not to go out and, rack up all your credit cards and just go out and spend too much money because the Lord's coming. No, you got to be responsible because we don't know the day. I'm just telling you from what I see, and all of you see the same thing, what's going on out there, it's really close. It's really, really close. You know it. You know it is. Even people who don't know the Lord, even people at work have told me, I heard a guy the other day saying at work to another man, what's going on in this world? He's unsaved. He doesn't know the Lord. He goes, what is going on in this world? I mean, are we about to go to war? What's happening to all these earthquakes? I mean, I heard them talking just a few feet away, and I didn't want to eavesdrop. I was working, and I just walked away and left them alone. But this guy's freaked out, and he should be freaked out. Yeah, a lot of stuff's going on. This stuff's going on. If all the stuff that has happened in the last week happened 30 years ago, people would be heading to the mountains building bunkers. But we've been just slowly anesthetized to what's going on. So it's like, oh yeah, no big deal, another earthquake. Oh, it's more social unrest. It's more murder. Oh yeah, they want to make men women and women men. No big deal. They want to castrate our children when they're still children from 7 to 12 years old. Yeah, no big deal. That's in California, and so, no big deal. What? 25, 30 years ago, you would have, what? It would have been a big uproar. No, we're sleeping. Our heads are in the sand. Not all of us. Obviously, people who watch videos like mine and others are alert to what's going on. And that's why you're watching these videos. I have other videos I watch of other people who talk about the same thing. I have to be encouraged too. I have to be, encouraged by what's going on out there, what others are saying in the Lord. A lot of good people out there. A lot of good videos, a lot of good podcasts about exactly what I'm talking about. Thank God they're there. I'm not competing with anybody about views and comments. I just feel like in my heart, I got to get this out. I got to get it out. If I don't get it out, I'm in sin. And that's why I'm doing it. And I don't want to disobey the Lord. It's in my heart. I've been following this stuff for over 40 years, and I can't believe what's happening in front of us every day. We're about to fly, and you're about to see that mansion. You don't need a credit score to buy that mansion. You don't need a social score to buy that mansion that's waiting for you. You just need to know Jesus in your heart. That's the only thing, and it's a free gift. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to pay for it. It's been paid for by a man named Jesus. A man, God-man, God in flesh, made flesh. And he died for you. He died for me 2,000 years ago. And he didn't have to do it. Folks, he didn't have to do it. God, the Father, asked him to go down there. He said, I want you to go down. He goes, I'll do it. Total obedience to the Father. Down to a people that hated him and killed him and crucified him. That's how much they hated him. And crucifixion, by the way, is one of the worst deaths you can suffer as a human being. It's horrible. Do a study on it. It's horrible. And he knew it was coming, and he did it anyway. And the night before it happened, Jesus says, take this cup from me, but not my will, your will. Wow. Think about that. How unselfish is that? Knowing what is coming, because he is God in the flesh, and he knew what was coming, and he did it anyway for a people that hated him. And for sin, because he wanted to pay for sin, because God the Father wanted to fix the sin issue. And the sin issue will never be fixed by drugs, sex, alcohol, money, whatever it is. That hole inside you will never be filled. You can fill it with some stuff, but it's not going to last. You're going to still have that void there, because it can only be filled by Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus our Messiah. He died on that cross. He rose on the third day, and now he's in heaven, interceding for us. And he's about to return. The Father is about to tell him, go get your bride, bring her to heaven, and let's have the feast of the Lamb. Folks, I hope this encourages you. If you lost everything in COVID, you lost your job, you lost your business, yeah, you got to work to make money. That's where we live. Don't give up doing that. Don't give up your dreams. But part of you's got to realize you're a temporary soldier here. Hebrews chapter, I encourage everyone listening and watching, read Hebrews chapter 11. It's the faith chapter of the Bible. It's an awesome book, awesome chapter. Read that. It'll change you. Ask God to change you through reading that. Don't worry about your businesses today. Do what you got to do today, one day at a time. Matthew 6, Jesus says this, one day at a time. You guys, this day, have a great day, and may God bless all of you. Thank you for some of your comments out there and your views. And I just ask that God would just bless you and keep you and just give you a great day. Bye, guys. Talk to you later. Brian out. Bye.